Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to be discussing in our first unit. Today we so good morning, everyone. Today we are going to be discussing in our first unit called it as an economic growth and economic development. In that, we are going to be discussing the concept called it as an objectives of economic development. Yes, objectives of economic development. So we are discussing the topic called it as and what here objectives of economic development here. So what are the different number of objectives of economic development? So we have already discussed there is that the developing countries like India, so they have been set some of the objectives for the development of their particular economy. So here that the what are those particular objectives? So the first one is called it as a high rate of growth. So a high rate of growth which bringing about the an improvement in the standard of living of the people. So that's what we are taking in short, a high rate of growth. The first and foremost objective is what here? A high rate of growth. A high rate of growth. High rate of growth is the first and foremost objective. Second one is the economic self-reliance. Second one is called it as an economic self-reliance. Economic self-reliance. That the third one is called it as an social justice. Third objective is what here? Social justice. The third one is called it as a what here? Social justice. And the fourth one is called it as a modernization. Fourth objective is modernization. The fourth objective is called it as a what here? Modernization. And the fifth objective is economic stability. The fifth objective is called it as an economic stability, and the sixth one is sustainable development. Sixth one is going to be called it as an sustainable development, and the last one is called it as an inclusive growth. And the last one is called it as an inclusive growth. So that the developing countries like India, they have been set for some of the objective to achieve the economic development in their particular countries here. So what are those particular objectives? A high growth rate of a high growth rate with a view to bring about the changes in the living standard of the people here. Changes the standard of living of the people. And the second one is economic self-reliance. Third one is called it as social justice. Fourth one is modernization. Fifth one is economic stability. Sixth one is sustainable development, and the seventh one is called it as an inclusive growth. These are the objectives has been set. So in the previous session we have been discussed what is actually the high growth rate here. So after when we got an independence to the till present of 2018 to 19 situation we have been discussed, and also the economic self-reliance, economic sufficiency and economic self-reliance also we have been discussed. Yesterday in the previous session we have been discussed about what here that the main two objectives of a main two objectives of an economic development we have been discussed here. So now let us today discuss about the what is the third objective called it as an economic the third objective for the economic development here. So the third objective is called it as a social justice here. That the third objective is called it as a what here? Social justice. So what is actually the social justice here? So social justice means equitable distribution of the wealth and income of the country among the different sections of the society here. So what they should have to do here? Social justice means what here? That the equitable distribution of the wealth and income, equitable distribution of the wealth and income of the country among the different sections of the society. Different sections, the society is going to be consisting of the different sections like rich people, poor people, middle class people, like that here. So here the society is going to be consisting, whenever the society is going to be consisting of the different sections of the people like rich people, poor people, middle class people, like that we are going to be. So that our countries, our entire wealth and income can be distributed among the all the people, all the people of the society. So then only the social justice can be made it here. So in India, we are going to finding that in our India, we are going to finding that the large number of poor people. So in India, we are going to be finding that the large number of people are there in a poor only. Large number of the people we are going to be finding as a poor. అంటే మన దేశంలో చాలా ఎక్కువ మంది పేద ప్రజలే ఉండడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. So while out of that, a few is going to be leading a luxurious life here. So out of the few people are going to be living as a luxurious life in our country here. So therefore, another objective of development. What is the another objective of a development is to what here ensure the economic and social justice here. Ensuring of economic and the social justice and not social justice and take care of the poor and the weaker sections of the society here. So what we should have to take here? So what is the main objective of the economic development here? So ensure the economic and social justice, ensuring the economic and social justice and to take care of the poor and weaker sections of the society. Take care of the poor and weaker sections of the society is nothing but the main objective of the economic development here. So under the 5-year plans, the India have highlighted under the 5-year plans, the India has been highlighted the 4 aspects for the social justice here. So the first one is called it as a adherence to democratic principle, a adherence to democratic principles of the political structure of the country. Democratic structure, Prajaswamya, democratic structure of the political structure of the country here. So that is the first and foremost one. And the second one is the first aspect. The second aspect is what here? Establishment of social and economic equity. Establishment of the social and economic equity and removal of regional disparities. So to remove the regional disparities, one region is more developed than the another one is far behind the development here. So like that, to remove such a disparities between the regional areas here. And the third one is that the putting an end to the process of centralization, putting an end to the process of centralization of economic power and simulate the attaining the decentralization of the power here. Decentralization means what the government want to do, what the government want to do is nothing but the centralization. The government is going to be taking the decision. So what the people want, what actually the people want is called it as a what here? Decentralization. People want, so that can be done by the government is called it as a decentralization. What the government is going to say that can be accepted by the people is called it as a centralization here. So the centralization method. So we should have to putting an end. We should have to make an end for the centralization method. We should have to put forward for the decentralization method here. What the public want, so that can be done by the government here. So that is the another one. And the fourth aspect is what here? Effort to rise the conditions of backward and depressed classes here. So that the efforts to rise effort. We should have to make more number of efforts by introducing of the different number of programs for the to change, means to increase the conditions of the backward and also the depressed class of the people here. So these are the 4 aspects they have been included under the social justice here, under the development 5-year plans here. So thus the 5-year plans have targeted to uplift that the 5-year plans what they have been targeted here to uplift of the economic conditions of to uplifting means bringing up of the economic conditions of the socio-economically weaker sections here, social and economically weaker sections people here. So to bring up their particular means what here their target to uplift of this particular people here. So that is nothing but uplifting of these weaker sections means what here the weaker sections are going to be including of SC and SC. SC and SC. So here that is nothing but what here SC means what here scheduled caste people. ST means what here scheduled tribes people here. SC and ST through a number of target oriented programs, by introducing of the number of target oriented programs in order to reduce the inequality, in order to reduce the inequality in the distribution of landless assets, that the landed assets, land reforms has been adopted here. Land reforms has been adopted here. So further to reduce means what here now the present KCR government also what it will be doing here for the poorer section people of the especially for SC and SC. So women means what here, the poor people, those who are belongs to SC, so they are going to be provided of 3 acres of land for their particular livelihood here, isn't it or not? So here that the program, such a programs has been introduced at that particular time here. So here further, to reduce the regional imbalances, further they are going to taking the measures for what here, reducing the regional imbalances, as well as the inequalities, and specific programs have been adapted for the backward areas. Specific programs are going to be adapted for the backward areas of the country here. So developing countries are devising changes in the developing countries are going to be devising changes in their particular tax structure. Developing countries are going to be devising in their particular structure to achieve the equitable socio-economic development of their particular countries here. How the rich people has to pay the more tax, the poor people has to pay the less, or the without the tax they are going to be charging here. In that way, they are going to be the government is going to be making the social justice for the country's people, so that between the poor and rich people here. So that is the another objective here. And what is the fourth objective here? The fourth objective is called it as a modernization here. The fourth objective is called it as a what here? Modernization. So here that under the modernization, before the independence, Indian economy was backward and feudal in nature, feudal in character. Before the independence, our Indian economy will become the feudal in nature and feudal in character. Means here that for after attaining the independence, means what here, we are very backward. Why? So there are the more than 200 years that the British colonies are going to be ruled our India here. So they have been taken our entire wealth. So that's what will be happen here. So before means year before the independence, Indian economy was backward and feudal in character here. So here after attainment of the independence, after attaining of the independence, what will be happen here? So that the planners and the policy makers, who are the planners? That the 5-year planners and the policy makers. That the 5-year planners and the policy makers have been tried to modernize the economy by changing the structural and institutional setup. Institutional setup of our country here. They want to bring the change, modernization they want to bring here. How they can bring the modernization here? So they are going to be changing in our economy, they are going to be changing the structural and institutional setups of our country has been changed. With that, so there is a modernization is going to be arise, they have been taught here. So what is the actual aim of that particular modernization? So the modernization is going to be able to improving the standard of living of the people here. So what is the main aim of that particular modernization objective here? So to improve the standard of living of the people by adopting the better and scientific techniques of production. Better and the scientific techniques of production here. So by replacing the traditional and backward methods of bringing the changes in the rural structure and institutions here. So that previously before the independence, we are going to be using only the traditional methods of production methods here. So after when we got an independence, what that particular planners they have been decided here. So they want to setting up of the changes. The socio-economic changes they want to bring. Out here in the form of a traditional methods, they want to bring it as a modern methods of a production they should have to introduce here. So here the production can be increased, with that the living standard of the people is going to be increased here. So here with that what will be the rural institutions also getting to be changed here. So these changes aim at increasing the share of industrial output. Yes, the production will be increased automatically. What will be happen? So the industrial share of output is also going to be increasing in the national income, upgrading the quality of products, upgradation of quality of the products, and delivering of Indian industries. Diversifying of Indian industries, more number of the industrial sector is going to be spreading in our India here. So further, it also includes the expansion of. Further, they are also going to be including the expansion of banking and other non-banking financial institutions, banking and also the non-banking financial institutions to agriculture and also the industry. It is going to be envisaging of what here, that the modernization of agricultural include the implementation of land reforms here. So the modernization can be done it under the agriculture. How they can bring the modernization here? By introducing of the land reforms method here. By introducing of the land reforms method. And so here that the currently modernization is going to be taking place. Currently, that the modernization is going to be taking place due to phenomenal growth of information technology sector. Yes, there is a lot of growth will be arising under the information technology sector. So there is a lot of modernization will be including in our country here. So the land reforms either of radical nature, the land reforms either of radical nature or the modest nature have been implemented in the most of developing countries, especially in countries like China, Vietnam and India. So after what here, because of that the modern methods of that particular agriculture sector has been introduced by the developing countries, they are going to be put forward for the development of the particular countries here. So that is the another objective here. And the next one is economic stability. And the next objective is what here? Economic stability. So what is actually the economic stability here? So economic stability is going to be ensured, that the economic stability is going to be ensured when a non-inflationary full employment growth. Non-inflationary. Inflationary means what here? The increasing of a food grains rate here. The increasing of a food grains rate is called it as an inflationary. So here economic stability, when we can make the stability of the economy here, so when we are going to be ensuring as a non-inflationary full employment, all the people are going to be getting the employment opportunity, growth occurs in the country. So then only, so the non-inflationary stability is going to be arising here. So after the second 5-year plan, after the second 5-year plan, so after the second 5-year plan, the price level, the price level started has been increased here. So the price level of the food grains has been started increased in our India for a long period of time here, for a long period of time. In the second 5-year plan means what here? So we have been completed the period of first 5-year plan will be 1951 to 1956 here. So the second 5-year plan has been started in the year of 1956 to 1961. So here that the what will be happen here at the second 5-year plan? So there is a very high rates of the food grains will be increased here. So at that particular for the long period of time. For the long period of last time, so there is an increase will be recorded under the prices of food grains here. So therefore, the planners have tried. At that particular time, what the planners has been made here, the planners has been tried to stabilize the economy by properly controlling the rising end of the price level here, rising trend of the price level. How they have been taken the controlling measures by the planners here. Planners means who are the planners? The 5-year plans. The 5-year planner commission, the 5-year plan commissions will be there, no? So the commission members. So here that the planners, therefore that the 5-year plan planners have tried to stabilize. They have been tried more number of measures they have been taken to try to stabilize the economy by stabilize the economy. How they have been stabilized? What are the measures they have been taken here? By properly controlling measures. Controlling measures program they have been introduced for rising price levels here. For rising trend of the price levels they want to control here. So in that way they have been made the economic stability in our country here. So the progress in this particular direction, because of they have been taken the more number of measures to control of this particular, because they have been taken the more number of measures to control of this particular economic stability, what they have been done here. So here the process they have been that the direction has to satisfy here. So mainly what here the progress of this particular direction has been that the satisfactory, somewhat it has been satisfactory, not completely it has been satisfied, but somewhat they have been taken some of the measures as a satisfactory here. So that the broad objective of economic development, there are the more number of broad objectives of economic development has a non-inflationary self-reliant growth with the social justice. Non-inflationary self-reliant growth with the social justice. Non-inflationary non-inflationary self-reliant growth with the social justice. Self-reliant growth with social justice. So here what the measures they have been taken by the planners here. So not inflationary without means the controlling of the increasing price levels with self-reliant. How we can self-reliant means what here without depending on the other countries. for the food grains and also for the others. So we must need to stand on our own legs with the increasing growth rates. So with that we can make the social justice, made the social justice to all the people. We can get the economic stability in our country here. Economic stability in our country can be achieved here. So this is the another objective. And the next objective is called as what here? Sustainable development. The next and foremost objective is what here? Sustainable development. So what is actually the sustainable development here? So that the Brundtland report, that the Brundtland report, sustainable development means that the Brundtland report, that Brundtland report has been defined that the sustainable development, that the Brundtland report has been that the Brundtland report has been defined the sustainable development as meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising needs of the future generations. So what we have said here, so meeting the needs of the present generation, meeting the needs of the meeting the needs of the present generation, needs of the present generation without compromising the future generations, without compromising the future generations. So meeting the needs of the present generation, meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of future generation, without compromising the needs of the future generations. So here that the sustainable development means what here, that the Brundtland report defined that the sustainable development means what here, sustainable development means what here, that the without that the meeting the needs of the present generation, without compromising the needs of the future generation, అంటే ఏంటి, ప్రజెంట్ అంటే ఏంటి, వర్తమాన కాలంలో మనకు అవసరమైనటువంటి అవసరాలన్నింటినీ తీరుస్తూ భవిష్యత్తులో ప్రజలకు అవసరమైనటువంటి అవసరాలకి అంటే ఏంటి, వితౌట్ కాంప్రమైజింగ్ అంటే ఏంటి, మనము భవిష్యత్ అవసరాల కోసము, ప్రజల యొక్క అవసరాల కోసము కాంప్రమైజ్ కాకుండా మనం ఏదైతే డెవలప్ చేస్తున్నామో దాన్ని ఏమంటున్నాము, సస్టైనబుల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అని అంటున్నాము. అర్థమైందా? అంటే ఫర్ ద ప్రజెంట్ జనరేషన్ వితౌట్ కాంప్రమైజింగ్. So whatever the things should be done by the present people, so thus all the needs should be satisfied without compromising by them. So and the future generation people also can be satisfied. Then only it is called it as and what here, sustainable development. So here that the sustainable development means the development should be keep going. So sustainable development means what here, that the development should be keep on going here. And continuously there is an development should be arise here. అంటే రెగ్యులర్గా డెవలప్మెంట్ అనేది జరుగుతూనే ఉండాలి, రోజుకి డెవలప్మెంట్ అనేది జరుగుతూనే ఉండాలి. అర్థమైందా? సో హియర్ సస్టైనబుల్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ ఎయిమ్స్ ఎట్ యాక్సిలరేటింగ్ that the sustainable development is going to be aiming at accelerating the development in order to conserve and enhance the stock of environmental, human, physical capital without making future generations worse off here, ఫ్యూచర్ జనరేషన్కి వర్స్గా అంటే ఏంటి, మొత్తం అన్ని మనమే వాడకుండా ఫ్యూచర్ జనరేషన్స్ గురించి ఆలోచించి మనం ప్రజెంట్ జాగ్రత్తగా వాడుకోవాలి. ఉన్నటువంటి వనరులు మొత్తం అయిపోయేలాగా కాకుండా ఏవైతే వనరులు ఉన్నాయో వాటన్నింటినీ కూడా ఏంటి, ఫ్యూచర్ జనరేషన్లో కూడా అందుబాటులో ఉండేలాగా మనము చేయాలన్నమాట. సో హియర్ the damaging effects of economic development, on environmental degradation can be reduced. Environmental degradation means what here, we must need to, with protecting of the environment, we must need to make the development. developmental programs we should have to introduce here. So without degrading of the land, so the environment can be protected here. By protecting of the environment, we should have to make the developmental programs we should have to take care here. So that is called it as and what here. So that is sustainable development here. So that is nothing but what they are going to be calling here. So that the sustainable development is going to be aiming at accelerating the economic development in order to conserve and enhance the stock of environment, human and physical capital. Human capital include what here? That the health and education, and also the physical capital. Physical capital without making the future generations worse off here, without making the worse for the future generations. Present generations also use it here. So that is better for the future generations also. So the damaging effects of the economic development on environmental degradation can be reduced by a judicious choice of economic environmental policies, judicial choice of the economic and environmental policies and environmental investments here. So choice between the policies and investment, the choice can be made it between the choices can be made it between the policies and the investment should be aimed at harmonizing economic development with the sustainable development here. Harmonizing the economic development with the sustainable development here. So that is the another objective. And the last and foremost objective is what here? That the inclusive growth. The last and foremost objective is nothing but what here? For the economic development, inclusive growth here. So what is actually the inclusive growth here? So what is actually the inclusive growth? So inclusive growth means what here? Actually, that the inclusive growth refers to both pace and pattern. Inclusive growth is going to be referred to both the pace and pattern of the economic growth. Both the pace and pattern of the economic growth is called it as nothing but the economic growth they are going to be saying here. So here this concept which is now referred by the who had been referred of this particular concept that is both pace and pattern, but that both pace and pattern of the economic growth is called it as an inclusive growth we are calling here. So here actually the concept who had been referred here, so that the World Bank has been referred on this particular concept. World Bank has been referred of this particular concept here. So the inclusive growth concept has been referred by the World Bank. Both pace and pattern, the economic development is called it as and what here? That the economic growth is called it as an inclusive growth here. So here that the concept of the concept which is now referred by the World Bank is sustainable inclusive growth. Sustainable and inclusive growth without degrading the environment. We must need to make the development of the country. So that is called it as a what here? So here that the sustainable inclusive growth which is going to be including even non-mental concern besides the benefits regarding to the marginalized sections of the population. Marginalized means what here? Very weaker sections of the people should also reach the benefits. The programs introduced by the government, that benefit should be reached to the very weaker sections of the people of that particular country with the to improvement of their particular living standards, improvement in their particular lives only, so that the inclusive growth is going to be arising here. So here that the inclusive growth as a strategy of economic development. Inclusive growth is one of the strategy of economic development which is going to be receiving the attention by owing to the rising the concern that the benefits of the economic growth have not been equally shared here. So why that particular economic development is going to be receiving of this particular owings because of rising the concern that the benefits of the economic growth have not been equally shared here. So the benefits of the economic growth is not going to be shared with the weaker sections of the society here. So that's what there is an development is going to be not going to be possible here. So the inclusive growth is going to be stressing. The inclusive growth is going to be what actually it is going to be stressing us here. So the inclusiveness of the hetero should have to excluded population in the growth process, which is expressed to bring the several other benefits as well as the economy here. Several other benefits should be brought in to bring the changes in their particular livelihood of the weaker sections. Then only the inclusive growth is going to be possible. They are going to be saying here. So the concept of inclusiveness that the concept of inclusiveness should be seen as a process of including the excluded marginalized sections. We are going to be exclude the marginalized, means the rich sections we should have to exclude of the population whose share in the total income remains the relatively, so that the marginalized means the poor sections. So here the low level, for instance of that the instance, for instance of bottom 20%, the bottom 20%, the bottom 20% of the population, the bottom 20% of the population getting their particular share of 2 to 3% in the national income, getting their share of national income only 2 to 3% only they are going to be getting their share of national income can be distributed to the marginalized sections of the people here. Hence, by adopting the inclusive growth strategy, what they will be doing, the bottom 20% of the share can be increased the 5 to 10%. 5 to 10% has been increased to share between these particular marginalized sections of the people. So it can be treated as an inclusive growth here. It can be treated as an inclusive growth here. So these are the different number of objectives of an economic development. With us, the topic has been completed.